So this seemed unbelievable at first, but it's actually allegedly the case. Did you know that XDC not too long ago officially entered the Bloomberg terminal? Which I think is really massive, especially when I consider just how popular Bloomberg is. Now, nothing I say is financial advice. However, it does continue on this post by saying how, and again, this is actually from XDC, they say that the MVXDC index is now listed on Bloomberg Terminal, enabling institutional visibility and access to XDC. This right here, I think, is massive because when I hear the word institutions, right, or should I say in this case, institutional, it's something that I do like because let's keep in mind, institutional adoption is something that a lot care about. The reason why, in my opinion, is because a lot of institutions, especially the really massive ones, they usually have a lot of capital, a lot of resources, a lot of, basically volume to kind of facilitate growth, sometimes in a much larger scale, as opposed to the retail market in some cases. So of course, naturally, a lot of projects do care about that. And I think when it comes to XDC more specifically, this is a step in the right direction. I think it's a massive milestone actually at the end of the day. Now, let's think about this as well. They say how alongside this, continued progress on SEC related filings is paving the way toward regulated market participation. So again, when I take a look at XDC lately, I think it's just been pretty impressive, especially when it comes to this milestone. Now, people like to say, well, it's not doing the best in terms of the price though. Totally understand that. And the recovery really in the past 24 hours really hasn't been the best. But here's the thing. Sure, Stellar is more popular. Sure, Ripple is more popular. But at the same time, XDC doesn't ever need to overtake them, in my opinion, because as of right now, we all know that XDC has had a pretty massive pullback alongside a bunch of other projects. But here's the thing. XDC being at around a 600 million market cap as of right now, if it could just go back to, let's say, January of 2025, which is slightly over a year ago, but keep in mind, in January of 2025, at one point, it reached a market cap of around 2 billion. So it's over 3 times higher than where we are as of right now. Now, again, since we're over 3 times lower than that point, if XDC could just return back to that from where it is as of right now, I don't even need an altcoin season anymore. And let's just also think about this. At around a 2 billion market cap, is that going to overtake XLM? No, it's not. But for what XDC is, I don't think it matters because as of right now, we're hypothetically speaking so low when compared to back then. If it could just go back to that previous point, again, we're over 3 times lower than that. So at the same time, I don't need to see an altcoin season to have a going to Sizzler type of moment because if XDC goes back to around a 2 billion market cap from where it is as of right now, I'm going to Sizzler. That's the way you take a look at it. It's already a quote unquote, again, going to Sizzler type of moment, at least in my point of view, because, Bitcoin's not over 3 times lower than its all-time high. So in my point of view, I just haven't given up. But I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I am personally dollar cost averaging only once a month. I don't do any more than that. I don't do any less because I'll never be able to know exactly what could or would happen. The only thing I can control is myself, the dedication, kind of the projects that I believe in, and that's it. I don't only just hold XDC, but one of the major reasons why I like XDC is because it reminds me of like a miniature version of something like Ripple and Stellar, but of course, XDC, it's not as popular as them, but that's kind of the point, right? I like, an XDC type of, I guess, level project because it's still focused on global trade and finance, again, much like Ripple and Stellar. And also, much like Ripple and Stellar, it does have an aspect of ISO 20022. So it has those boxes ticked. But then yet, the market cap is, relatively speaking, compared to some of the bigger ones, it's a little bit smaller, right? It's well below a billion in terms of market cap. So that's kind of why I like it. It's not too massive, but it's not too small either. And that sometimes is kind of the sweet spot for me when I look for some projects out there, especially if I like the fundamentals. Now, people like to say, who cares? The chart is down, right? Like, no one's going to care about this. Well, personally, I still care about it because when people often ignore a project, when people often leave, what happens? The charts go down, right? But what happens when the charts go down? It's a time for me to, I guess, be a lot happier. The reason why, even though it may sound counterintuitive, is because I am looking to, again, dollar cost average. I'm looking to accumulate, right? If let's say some people out there are happy accumulating gold at a quote unquote dip, or let's say the S&P 500 at a dip, if they're happy because of that, right? I take that exact same principle and I just apply it here. not only for XDC, also for the other projects I'm holding, but I'm just saying. Again, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but that's just personally what I'm doing. The reason why some people out there, in my opinion, are happy dollar cost averaging into gold or the S&P 500 if there's a dip, I think it's because they actually like that. But personally for me, I like XDC. So it's just the same principle, but really in just a different medium. That's the way you take a look at it. It's like, for instance, would I complain if there's a discount? Like, let's say a Santa Cruz bicycle. I think it's a very awesome bicycle, but if I wanted to acquire that and yet there's a discount, would I complain? Would I be like, oh, I can't believe there is a discount? No, I wouldn't. In real life, that's not usually how it works. But in this case, or should I say in this space as well, people oftentimes don't think about it that way. But I think about it that way. When I like a project and I see the charts, quote unquote, having a pullback, that's when I like it the most. That's the way I view it in terms of dollar cost averaging only. Now, do I want it to be low forever? Of course not. But if that happens to be the case, then I'm happy, because the lower for me, the better it is for dollar cost averaging, personally in my case. But of course, I can't control that. The only thing I can control is myself. But that's just what I like seeing sometimes. However, let's keep in mind, XDC does not have bad listings. I mean, a lot of other projects out there, they've become delisted, no more are they in some popular places. But when it comes to XDC, it's kind of maintained a lot of the good listings. So to me, I just don't view it as a bad project. I view it as a project that happens to be, as of right now, in a market where the sentiment isn't doing the best. XLM had a pullback. XDC had a pullback. It's not only just XDC. Solana had a pullback. A bunch of projects, right? Cardano's native token called ADA. Ever since we saw what they kind of did somewhat in 2024 and 2025, again, ever since those moments, a lot of projects have been having a pullback. So if a lot of projects, in terms of the common denominator, is just having a pullback, of course, I'm going to focus on XDC instead of the random memes, and also instead of the random projects I've never heard of. I'm not going to be doing that, because if those type of projects are having a pullback, and also XDC, of course, I'm going to be focusing on the one that I'm a fan of, and that in this case is XDC. And personally for me, I still like the narrative, because let's keep in mind, when it comes to the global trade and finance space, a lot of people that I know out there don't really know too many projects that are focused on this space that are popular. Like, for instance, of course, we know Ripple, Stellar, and of course, I'm talking about XDC as of right now. But if we take a look at SEBIC, right, we take a look at Onyx, we take a look at XPR, we take a look at SwiftCoin, that's 7. It's not 10, 20, 30. No, that doesn't seem to be the case. Some niches out there, there's like 30, 40 major competitors and very famous projects within that space. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to kind of shine in those instances. But when it comes to XDC, in this global trade and finance space, it's not like there's so many that are that popular. So I think that, if anything, is a net benefit when it comes to XDC, right? It just doesn't have that much competitors, which I think is actually a good thing. Because if there's less competition, in theory, there's less options, right? And if there's less options and the market does eventually, maybe hypothetically in a make-believe scenario, recover, who knows? If it does do that, then when the attention again comes back in, there's just not that many options to begin with. XDC is one of the few that are popular. So if anything, I'm still a fan. I haven't given up, and I'm still waiting. That's it. I knew I was going to have to probably wait for quite a while. Did I know how long exactly? No. However, even if I have to wait for years, what can I do about it? I can't control this, but I'm still going to wait regardless. So I'm just going to stay patient, and that's it, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. However, I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to XDC moving forward. So hopefully you all stay tuned for that. I just want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.